see the Graves ban as well come out from them. But over onto Alpha, getting rid of the Zoe, taking that one away from Moonblack.
Yeah, Moonblack, of course, had a very, very standout performance on that Zoe. I like it. I do want to see the Syndra ban come through from HKA in response, and that will, of course, drive up priority on the likes of your LeBlanc. Yesterday, though, we're looking at conventional mage bans and thinking of conventional mage bans, but yesterday we saw that barrier Aatrox mid come through from Chen9, and there is the Syndra ban that I mentioned, but Chen9, he's got a couple more picks under his belt.
We still have to see how deep that pool can really be, because again, we're still only just seeing Your River and Chen9 for the first time. We saw a little bit of Leilun back on Talon previously on the split before they rechanged the name over to PSG. And also Bush, coming out from the bench over on Berjaya. It is going to be a Varus ban finishing it out for Alpha, as well as that Graves, like I mentioned, taking that one away from Your River. And it does mean for Alpha, if they wish to take it, it is the Aphelios first pick available.
I'm still incredibly uncomfortable with the amount of teams in this region that have gotten so used to just banning out Varus on blue side. This is the best champion on the current patch, and yet they're saying, look, we're not super confident in our play with it, we're not super confident building compositions around it, and instead they default to Old Faithful, the king of the bot lane of the PCS region, the king of spring, maybe the king of summer if today and yesterday's games are anything to judge by too. Aphelios is here to party.
All right. Well, it does get answered immediately by the Ezreal from Hong Kong Attitude. And now do they want to go ahead and put it in with the Pocket Cat? Looks like it will be the case here with that Yuumi hover.
Yeah, Yuumi, of course, very, very solid in lane with the Ezreal. I mentioned in the previous game, you remedy that by cheesing some prio at level 1 and just applying pressure. Both of these champions really struggle at trading with you when you have a minion wave to soak the Ez Qs, to soak the Yuumi Qs, and of course, you can just coordinate big dives into that bot lane.
All right, but here on the side of Alpha, are they opting to go in for like that support mid lane like we kind of saw previously when the Karma is getting locked in, at least during this first week of play of summer? Well, looks like it is going to be the case as it does get hovered in and locked. Now over onto Alpha, what do they want to try and pick up here? You're looking toward your jungle, try and get one of those aggressive champions once again, so you don't...
Olaf?
Maybe? They have an Olaf.
It's an LDL callback at that. If you do flex the Karma mid, by the way, is the Karma Olaf that we saw time and time again in spring. It's not going to be a jungler secured though, unless you have some crazy flexibility for your River here, as they choose to keep that up their sleeves for now.
All right, so it is going to be that Orin getting locked in, likely now for Bush. We could also see, we have seen the Orin actually be played down in bot as well as mid. It's been a couple times actually in the PCS, mainly to avoid that Kalista. Hong Kong Attitude though, Moonblack going to have the LeBlanc in the mid lane.
Gonna have to ban Lee Sin for Alpha, you have to imagine, because if you give LeBlanc Lee Sin over, you're giving the most volatile mid-jungle 2v2 to a team that has shown so much proficiency in, their one-game sample size at actually carrying through the mid and jungle as a duo. LeBlanc makes a lot of sense, though, with Zoe and Syndra hitting the bench, of course. That trifecta that we keep calling back to. When two are banned, one just shoots up in priority.
Now looking here, it is going to be the Kassadin getting banned out by Hong Kong Attitude as they look to start off their second rotation of bans, not wanting to see Chen9 in the mid lane on that. And actually, they're the ones to ban out the Olaf here on the side of Alpha.
That makes a Fiddlesticks jungle pick actually kind of appealing for me, and you can flex it to your solo lanes. You've seen AP Fiddle in the jungle, you've seen Tank Fiddle in the solo lanes. And the Olaf ban on 10-11 and 10-12 globally tends to indicate a preference towards some of these junglers that can't actually deal with it in the invades. It does, of course, make the priority on the Elise pick that we haven't seen much of this split actually come up a little bit, because that maybe could be something that your River opts into as an option towards applying dive pressure on the bot lane of HKA.
All right, so no more dive coming out from Elise Alpha with that Galio being banned out. Alpha, what are they looking to try and round this out? Do you want to not get rid of something in that top lane, trying to counter that Orin? And okay, that's going to be the case. They don't want to play up against the Wukongs. It gets banned out.
Yeah, the hard engage from the Wukong will let the Yuumi plus Ezreal combo kind of pick and choose where they want to play. Typically in spring, we'd see Aatrox as the go-to solo laner to be taken alongside the LeBlanc. I got that in just in time. But yeah, it's basically because you can just 100 to 0 someone with LeBlanc and give the Aatrox a free team fight reset.
Well, looks like we got kicked out of draft, so maybe there was a champion select issue.
We get a free draft reset. Nice.
Oh, no, we don't get a free draft reset. It starts back up at the end of the second round of bans, so maybe that Aatrox wasn't the exact plan there, but we'll get things back underway here and remake the room and then get ourselves underway for, of course, our final game of the night, final game of the weekend here. A nice little start to the summer split so far. We've had some good team fights, some good games, you know, some close ones, some stomps here and there, but nonetheless, some good League of Legends action over our first week.
Yeah, surprisingly promising opener. And again, I think a lot of the promise being shown is coming from the fact that we no longer have that clear-cut top 4, no longer even have that clear-cut top 3 with AHQ falling earlier in the day as well, and instead we're now looking at Machi and PSG ahead of the pack, but they're still mortal, and they're still able to be caught up by some of these teams that maybe do need to, you know, have these first couple of weeks as just time to gel and get a little bit of synergy under their belts.
I was gonna say PSG, they only appear mortal because Hanabi likes to push out his lane in the very early levels and then gets punished. That's the go-to Hanabi special. Again, that was almost a perfect game they were able to execute up against Liab, so looking like an extremely dominant force. And that's still like the question for these teams. Sure, you're in a little bit of a rebuild when it comes to your summer split, obviously with new rosters, but you only really have like half a split to kind of figure out what you need to be able to do. And outside of that, then you're trying to make a push into playoffs and trying to at least stay up in the upper part of the bracket to make it into the grand final.
Yeah, thinking about summer, and of course with that grand final giving you a world spot, it's in reach for a lot of these teams, it feels like. Granted, Machi have done to other teams what PSG did to them for our first game of the split, and that again just separates PSG from the rest of the pack pretty, clearly. That being said though, we have time to gel. We no longer have AHQ and Berjaya directly on the coattails of these top teams, and we have, the split cracked wide open in terms of placement. Besides, you have to imagine that very, very first seed.
Yeah, I have to give credit over to which one? It was Riku that's the Giga Brain right now. She's like, yeah, Berjaya's just looking like they'll be off come summer, and all of a sudden, damn, she seems to be right here as they currently sit 0-3 currently in their standings after finishing 4th during the spring season of the round robin, and then also falling actually to Hong Kong Attitude when they were in the playoffs, and there was a high chance they were almost able to make it into the loser bracket semifinal.
I mean, you're mentioning Riku's predictions for summer, and yet you have me quietly fanboying over AHQ, not getting to cast any of their games yet, but still looking at it and thinking, this is not the team that I was maybe signing up for heading into summer. Let me tell you that. Mostly because we didn't see much of Ziv, but also, where is that top-side focused gameplay that took my heart back in spring? Yeah, we're in summer now. Yeah, just really, 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 not unimpressed, but yeah, it's to be expected. It is the first week back.
Are you telling
me still
me
finding identity?
You don't enjoy the Aphelios hyper funnel with a Thresh Lantern to get him to safety so you can stay underneath tower against 4 members of the opposing squad? Because that happened like twice in their game today. You're saying that is not the team fight, that's not the team focus they should be going for? It should be all on to Ziv on that top side of the map?
Redeem yourselves in my eyes by picking Rumble. That's all, really. That's any team can do that.
Perfect. We're back into the draft, and it is actually going to be the Aatrox getting locked in on the side of Hong Kong Attitude.
See, I am 900 IQ here, and you can actually... Okay, Aatrox is a direct response to the Ornn. I was going to say you could explore like GP as an answer to that, but no, I feel it. Now, if you do lock Lissandra this rotation, okay, so is Karma support? It's going to push in the Ezreal Yuumi, and as we said before, you don't even need to cheese Prio with the Karma support. You can just get Prio for yourself and make it so the Ezreal Yuumi can't trade with you because the minion wave soaks your Qs.
But this is looking like a pretty aggressive jungle mid combo in the form of having a Lee Sin as well as now Lysindra getting locked in here for Chen 9 in the mid lane.
Lysandra, rather, but yes,
Lysandra.
I do agree with that. It's very, very volatile, and once you do lock someone down, like Moonblack, if he sticks with this Ignite, I'm gonna be pretty impressed, but also like, that is very brave. I'd say go for the cleanse here, and then try your best to navigate this lane and not get insta-popped at level 6. I'm glad that your River does take away this Lee Sin from, as I said, big playmakers, big units are roaming around the map, and big volatility in that mid-jungle duo of Hollow and Moonblack. But Rek'Sai as a direct answer to the Lee Sin still means that HKA have the advantage when it comes to bursting down someone in the midst of a crazy skirmish.
We'll see whether or not they can recreate the success that we saw out of Hong Kong Attitude when it came to our first visit of the new squad onto the split. We'll see whether or not Alpha can try and sure up some of the, solo queue-esque tendencies we saw from them and maybe try and get a little bit more coordinated in their second showing of the split.
Speaking of solo queue-esque, by the way, just pleasantly surprised to see no one pulling a Bruce this game. You got TP on the Ezreal with the Yuumi. No Ignite to be found. If you're ever in range to Ignite someone as Ezreal, you've misplayed, by the way, so yeah, well, sorry Bruce, no flame.
It's hard to flame Bruce when he went, what was it, like 7-1 and like 7 or something along those lines. So, it happens. But it didn't really matter if he had Ignite or Teleport, he still dominated that matchup.
To be honest, I don't think it matters if you have an Ezreal Yuumi here. It's all about the solo lanes coming online, smashing through these early skirmishes, and then yeah, Yuumi gets to, fight back with the Ezreal later on, or just become that additional damage and move speed and healing steroid for the Aatrox when he goes 1v9 mental in these mid-game teamfights.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned here for Moonblack actually in the mid lane, because usually on the LeBlanc you want to see your, be part of some kills early on when it comes to the game, but you're going up against Lysandra that's pretty much there to just nullify any kind of lane that you have. And like you mentioned, the fact that Moonblack actually isn't taking cleanse, there is a possibility that he could easily get shut down right away.
This game all about the mid-jungle duo as we continue to stress your River, Chen 9 taking on Hollow and Moonblack.
We'll see here now. Alpha looking for their first victory of the split, looking to go 1-1 for an opening weekend. We'll see whether or not Hong Kong Attitude can remain undefeated and open off a fresh breath of air when it comes to their showing here in summer as we load on into our final game of the night here on week 1.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And back we go onto a nice rift. Nice and peaceful. Nice, peaceful, calm night to end things off here on the weekend.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
I genuinely, I was like, how do I follow up on that?
You don't have to
analyze the team comps. Analyze the team. Yeah.
You don't have to always analyze the team comps, Briz. You can have a nice, breath, because you know what? We'll be jumping into that quite shortly. Obviously.
You made me laugh, and I got a hair in my mouth.
I'm glad you.
Nice.
Thanks for sharing that with the class, Briz. What are you going to bring to show and tell tomorrow? Oh boy.
An Aphelios Karma bot lane to counter out Ezreal Yuumi. As I said, you just push in, and that does make sense because, hey, you have the Ornn being self-sufficient top. It means we can see your River and Chen 9 play around this bot lane. And how do you counter the Ezreal Yuumi? You dive it time and time again. Punish its relative lack of wave clear, punish the fact it can't trade with you too hard in a minion wave, and punish the fact that HKA have a mid lane LeBlanc with no cleanse versus a Lysandra.
Yeah, that's also Chen 9 running the teleport, so we could likely see a lot of visits coming out of that Lysandra, post level 6 toward that bot lane, or even possibly up toward the top lane, considering Cardis is on a Aatrox that himself can easily get camped on if he's not careful.
I mean, that being said, I said Ornn was self-sufficient, so I think I have to cut Aatrox some credit in that department too. And actually, bot lane going pretty well for HKA right now. Eminem and Wing holding that wave in the middle of it. And I guess we'll see Alpha just turn it on with the Mantra Q as soon as that's back up and shove for some prio so that you can see your River fish for an advantageous invade. Because if Hollow gets the invade on the Lee Sin with the Rek'Sai, it really, really makes the Lee Sin's life hell because you just unburrow when he Qs at you and suddenly you win a trade.
You saw their shield being popped immediately, just getting Weilun within attack distance. And let's see, mid lane, Your River, Chen 9. This is that LDL duo. Are they waiting to see whether or not Moonblack is going to go for a distortion onto Chen 9? Might be just weighing this one out. Your River, though, a bit unfortunate on the timing as Holo now might be making an appearance.
Yeah, we could have seen a flash W from Chen 9 there, but I think rank 1 Lissandra W is like 0.75 second snare, so not really something too appealing in that regard. Mid-jungle 2v2, I said, would still go over to Moonblack and Hollow, especially pre-6 before Frozen Tomb, so Your River does need to be a little bit conscious of how much information he's giving over to his counterpart in Hollow.
Unfortunately for him, he doesn't know that Hollow's been actually able to track him all the way down through the river, and now does get spotted out and gets himself some scuttle control on the bot side of the map.
He's like, your river? Nah, this is my river. I've got the crab, I've got the vision, I've got everything I could ever wish for with a pushing mid laner to boot. Alpha now pushing out bot side, but it's not really going to give too much room to breathe for Your River. Instead, they're just trying to apply pressure where they can. Top lane, not really going their way. Mid lane, not really going their way. Jungle, not really going their way because, hey, it's a second crab for Hollow here. And yeah, just you take the small victories where you can.
And Your River's been spending a lot of time toward the bot side of this map. He's going to try and maybe go for an invade, maybe go for a dive here, but Wing already has an idea what's going on and puts down the ward to give him some safety.
A lot of respect to Wing there for sniffing that one out. Your River, you see him W to himself to get the attack speed passive on the Lee Sin, trying to knock down that ward as soon as possible. Unfortunately, cannot do it, cannot make it happen, but maybe he can convert on this dive. Eminem out of mana.
Out of mana and already used the Arcane Shift. Weilun just trying to get within auto attack range for the grab him, and will find it. Wing's going to try and soak up some damage, but that's first blood going on over to the Aphelios.
Yeah, Wing taking one for the team there. Eminem, no mana for the E, had to flash out, got followed up on, and Chen 9 with a very successful teleport to instigate the first blood of this game.
And Eminem, he's still just trying to stay around. He wants to soak up at least this minion wave, but we'll take another look here. Very simple and easy play, and like you mentioned, go for those dives on the bot lane of Hong Kong Attitude.
Yep, that's how you deal with Ezreal Yuumi, and the thing is, a lot of teams struggle against this lane, and a lot of people think this lane is OP and unbeatable, but it's just super strong late game. You can deal with it early, like Alpha just did, but what will they do with that lead? Probably not a lot top, as you see Bush getting knocked around by Kartis on this Aatrox.
Well, my question was, is Alpha going to be coordinated enough to try and go for some of these plays? And so far, the answer appears to be yes, even though Chen 9 ended up using also his flash maybe unnecessarily, so you won't be able to have that for possibly a level 6 play, but still, it is a good start here for Alpha, having an idea of where they need to strike on the map, considering Your River was a little bit non-existent for the first 5 minutes of the game.
I'm actually very impressed that Your River managed to pull that off after committing so much time to the bottom half of the map for seemingly little gain. And yet, with a big force from Alpha, they're able to turn that around. And, well, level 6 for both mids means LeBlanc has her burst.
And you see Chen 9 holding on to the Lissandra ultimate, as Holo is staying nearby, so had an idea. Your son, though, oh, this is unfortunate. Pathing not to go into his favor, ends up popping the Mantra Tether, able to get the lockdown here, but some decent damage coming back in onto that Karma.
Yeah, the Mantra Tether actually does give you a lot of health. It's a heal initially, and then a missing health-based heal when the root does connect. So it's a lot of sustain for Karma, and she can just easily escape there, because when the Rek'Sai's out of melee range, she's not dealing damage, but here's some damage back.
unfortunately, Wing, if you're detached from your Ezreal, you can be targeted, and that's an easy call coming out from the bot lane here of Alpha, and really starting to punish this Yuumi.
You got the Karma Tether route, you got the Aphelios Gravitum route, you've got routes for days to punish this relatively immobile support of Wing once the Yuumi's W is interrupted. A ton of front-loaded bursts being put onto that poor kitty cat in the support role, knocking down the Yuumi and getting some pressure back for Alpha around this Drake.
And now it gets scary. You already gave this Aphelios now, what, 2 kills before 10 minutes in this lane, and we have now only just hit the mark where this Lissandra has ultimate available and can start also roaming down, and I feel a little bit bad here for M&M and Wing.
So I mentioned that Ezreal Yuumi are super good at scaling, getting to that late game, and that is the name of the game for HKA's bot lane right now. Tyr and Cull. This is about as invest heavy as you can possibly get with these two champions, and it's all about just waiting it out, trying to stem the bleeding. But as you said, playmaking tools available for Alpha across the board, and if they continue to be on the same page, if they continue to show that they've learned from yesterday's mistakes, the pressure is on.
So HKA, they looked relatively clean, but that might have been just the fact they were going up against Liab yesterday. Now starting to struggle, at least on the bot side of the map. You still got to note, though, top side, Cardis is still pretty happy on this Aatrox, sitting at about a juicy 20 CS advantage, so not the end of the world just yet for HKA.
Alpha now pretty okay with the position they're in right now, have a lot of shove going, actually left that ward up in the tri-bush to kind of, you know, maybe give an indication that your River needed to book it out of there and back up his mid laner. This chain under tower means Chen can actually trade back, as Hollow, again, just left floating around the mid lane, trying desperately to force something that isn't really materializing.
And you just have your River that's just, you know, hunkering around. At least, you know, Hollow's been, you know, farming into the jungle at the very least. You know, 62 CS to the 45 of your River. In comes the engage, though. It doesn't matter how much CS you have, because guess what? Moonblack just gets locked down and executed. Kill going on to the Lee Sin.
And this is why we said we needed the cleanse, but this is where the forcing comes through.
Oh, boy. Maybe overstaying a little bit too long. Gotta ask, you know, were there some missing pings up from the top lane? And in the end, HK are able to finally strike on the board with Hollow picking up the kill.
Look at Bush's CS, look at the fact he's down 3 waves, and then look at the fact that he's at the enemy top tier 1. That means that the Aatrox is definitely roaming, and that could have been communicated just a little bit better, I believe. Here's the CC chain that we mentioned though, no cleanse for LeBlanc, the Ignite is not going to help you. Truly, Moonblack, you are the Bruce of this game where I'm like, why do you have Ignite? But yeah, this is a interesting series of events for HKA now.
One thing to note here with the Briz joining us onto the broadcast, don't take Ignite, or else he will hunt you down, apparently. Now, a
situational.
Okay. You just like teleport a bit better. You like having a little bit more utility.
Or cleanse.
Or cleanse. Something that makes a little bit more sense when you're going up against a Lissandra, I think is the point we're trying to make at. Alpha are going to go ahead and start up the Rift Herald. Hollow is nearby, though, so he can contest this if he wishes. Bush is going to come down, though, and support toward the Lee Sin. Meanwhile, mid lane, Moonblack not afraid to jump in here. Chen9 really holding down, doesn't have his ultimate available, is going to get dove upon here by Hollow. Can they actually finish off the kill? Hollow is going down low. In comes the Golden Forge God, and he's able to find it. The Ignite pays off in the end. He's able to find the kill. But guess what? Your son just around the corner to help finish off the LeBlanc.
I'm like, yes, he feels vindicated for taking the Ignite now, perhaps, but that is still not the play to make. You lose mid, you lose priority, you lose the Herald, and suddenly this game is snowballing, not out of control, but into an awful position for the side of HKA.
Yeah, you can see here a lot being committed, and this was actually with Chen9 not having his ultimate during the entire skirmish.
You mentioned a lot of commitment, and I want to draw your attention to the minimap there, because not only do we have Alpha's members just focusing on that top mid, on that Rift Herald pit, but look at the vision. It's somewhat gone now, but previously the entire bottom half of the map was HKA's domain. It was all red wards. It was all the way down, and yet they commit for fights on the side of the map where they don't have vision, they don't have the requisite setup, and it blows up in their face accordingly.
Well, Cardis has at least been able to find himself about a 30 CS advantage, and now is going to start whacking away on some turret plates. So this Aatrox at least keeping up with a lot of the gold, but Alpha seemed to have a play in mind. Chen 9 does have his ultimate available, and like we mentioned, without having that cleanse, Moonblack is a prime target, especially when he jumps in immediately like this. Rinse and repeat the exact same play we just saw only a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, you eat the Lissandra full combo, you're stunned, you can't do anything. You eat the Lee Sin full combo, you're dead, you can't do anything. And now Hollow is in mid again, with no real play to be found, just watching the Herald crash in, watching gold go into, okay, Chen 9's pockets, it's not great, it's Lissandra, what's she gonna do with it? Not a lot, but it's still gold that HKA wishes they weren't hemorrhaging right now.
And on top of this bot lane that just didn't go in their favor, it's now all putting onto Kartis on this Aatrox to somehow leverage his advantage and move it elsewhere on the map.
Really, really difficult for the Aatrox to even navigate these mid-game fights, though, because you have the Ornn running interference, you have the Lissandra notoriously hard to lock down, Karma, the most frustrating champion in the game to play against in that support role. Meanwhile, Aphelios just hitting you from 2 screens away while you're desperately trying to close the gap.
See, at least he's trying to get aggressive here, but needs to start shoving things down. Unfortunately, Bush is now starting to get to a point, though, that he can just soak up all this pressure and just keep the wave at bay, and it's going to be unlikely that Kartis ever knocks down this tower if the Ornn is nearby.
In HKA's defense, this is around the point in time where Alpha's synergy just fell apart yesterday, so they're not quite home free yet, and I think HKA, if they can show that they've developed as a unit, as if they've developed as a team, maybe then we'll see them pull it back. Maybe we'll see them take control of these mid-game team fights just through their synergy advantages alone.
Taking a look here now, that's also Infinity Edge completed for the Aphelios on top of a cloak, so setting about 45% crit chance for an upcoming fight if they wish to take it. Chen 9 still hard pushing here in the mid lane. Moonblack has been able to at least pick up, but I swear I have seen this play exactly happen before. They go for a chain, and they just go ahead and take the tower instead.
Yeah, that mid-tier 1 being cracked open means that it's a much taller order for key members of HKA to actually move up in this fog of war and fish for things, because if you move up without a cleanse, without a QSS, without much of anything, you're eating a Lissandra ult, you're eating a Karma tether, you're eating a Lee Sin combo, and this is a really precarious position for that part of the map for HKA. They need to group as 5, they need to move as 5, and anytime you're relying on a 5v5 with a LeBlanc in your composition, it means the game has not gone as planned.
I want to just stress how much it feels like you can tell that Alpha is still a very new roster put together, is because the amount of pings they are using currently in-game is about 10 times more than any other team so far in the PCS. Let's take a look at that gold graph. First 15 minutes in favor of Alpha so far, currently sitting at that 2,000 gold lead.
You know what that gold lead is a result of? Pings and healthy communication. Because, Opal, you gotta be smart to use smart pings.
Ah. Or you could also just, you know, be an Aphelios and Karma and win your lane already, and bing bada boom, that's also going to be the tower taken and more gold injected onto a Luna.
I don't think you can lose lane with Karma in the current meta, to be fair, and Aphelios is just a wave clear bot. So, yeah.
Well, so far, Eminem and Wing have seeked refuge in the mid lane as they're making their trek toward, I guess, the top side of the map, because I think there is a second Rift Herald just approaching in under a minute. So maybe HKA can try and make something happen there.
Yeah, HKA have to be really conscious of these neutral objectives because, as we mentioned, that tier 1 mid not only leaves options in terms of, you know, finding more picks from the Fog of War for Alpha, but also it allows them to push up their aggressive vision control around the Herald pit, around the Drake pit, and with that Drake coming up in 1 minute 30, it means Infernal Soul Point can become a legitimate possibility for Alpha around that 23-minute mark.
Moonblack trying to be a little bit spooky on the top side of the map. Ward comes out. Your son actually misplaced the ward, but Moonblack, still being a scaredy cat, it seems, is going to back off. As now, there you go, Aphelios Karma on the top side of the map and putting in more of this turret gold onto the hyper carry of Alpha.
Hollow again just trying to force plays where there are no plays to be found, it feels like. He fished mid, now he's looking at weak side Ornn. and they're losing turrets across the board as a result of it. They're also going to lose the second Herald, and it feels like HKA are just behind on the play yet again.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's Alpha's game here so far, and no one's really been able to take anything back.
Bush.
Sure, you're going to try and get on top of Bush. He's able to flash, though, back to safety, and at least Kartis is able to unlock himself from one of these sidelines, picking up his first tower.
I mean, Kartis had the onus on a roam earlier, bailed out his mid-jungle duo. You had him just build that 40 CS lead pretty organically. I think if I'm HKA here, I'm putting all my eggs in the Kartis basket, and I'm saying, look, we have a Yuumi that scales, we have a Yuumi that can bolster this Aatrox even further, just try not to lose too much across the board, but the Drakes really put the pressure on them, and really put a timer on this team comp, especially if the next Infernal does go in favor of Alpha, and pushes them one step closer towards Dragon Soul Point.
And for once here, we're actually seeing an Ezreal opt out of the Iceborne Gauntlet Rush, instead going into that Trinity Force. So Eminem's trying to be at least a bit more of a damage dealer, realizing, hey, I have this Yuumi on top of me. I'm trying my best to try and at least apply as much pressure as I can toward Alpha. HKA, how do they look to try and respond here? This will be the third Dragon in favor of Alpha. Kartis on the front line gets engaged upon, knocked all over the place. He gets rooted, and it doesn't matter how far ahead your Aatrox is, because if he's dead, he can't use any abilities himself. Looking for the play onto Moonblack, not able to find the kill, but that will be Alpha turning back in toward the Dragon. Moonblack trying to at least run interference, but Alpha have full control.
Alpha fish for the big turnaround. They initially stayed on the Drake, and I was a big fan of that, but then they made the coordinated call. They said, look, we are on the same page here. We're looking at the same play.
Moonblack was very close to allowing the Yuumi to steal as it went down to 2 health. Moonblack still getting aggressive here. Loon, though, flash on forward, gets the root, and they are looking for the lockdown. The poor kitty gets taken out by your river, and now Moonblack going to try what he can with, of course, the clone. It doesn't matter. It's a double kill for the Lee Sin.
And HKA have to be so happy that there is no Baron to be taken here. There is a mid-tier 2 in the eyes of Alpha, though, and HKA just gonna get run all the way down.
There you go, True Shot Barrage also going to come out from Eminem. They're going to allow Shelly to at least get that second charge off, and gets it onto the tower, and Alpha now look to crack open the midsection of the map. Let's take a look back toward the Dragon fight.
Yeah, as I mentioned, really good coordinated play from Alpha here to say, look, we need the Lee Sin damage to actually burst out this Aatrox. Let's peel off of the Drake, and let's just fish for this. HKA on the full retreat, they split, they can't find any kind of way in there, and you spoke about item builds from the Ezreal before, and I think that's because Eminem recognizes he needs to be the one dishing out the damage, because Aatrox will get kited. Rek'Sai never got ahead enough to actually dish out significant damage, especially now we're out of her early game, and LeBlanc, who do you one-shot? There's Karma Shields, there's Aphelios doing Aphelios things, there's Lee Sin getting surprisingly tanky, there's a tank on the Ornn, and there's Lissandra, who you absolutely cannot go anywhere near for fear of just getting locked down.
Yeah, it's not a feels good moment, too, for Moonblack when you take a look at that gold ranking and realize he has the second least amount of gold on his team, just ahead of, obviously, a Yuumi. So, unfortunately, this LeBlanc is going to feel a bit lackluster now for the next little bit of the game, and this seems like a game in Alpha's hands, and it's up to them for them to make mistakes to see whether or not HK will be able to make it back into the game.
Yeah, and if HK are to make it out, you need the LeBlanc and the Aatrox to be able to split push, and that's why Alpha is saying, look, we're not letting you play the 1-3-1, we're going to force an objective, you need to come to us, you are not going to get to play the game on your terms here, and if this does go down, it should be Alpha's game to clinch.
Let's see, Moonblack going on over the wall. That turret is still going to provide aggro onto the Baron, but they decide to back off. Call of the Forge God does knock up Hollow, and it looks like Alpha a little hesitant. They really wanted to try and force a play, and without that Ornn ultimate, now a bit of hesitation to even go for the Baron once again.
Really intriguing that Alpha actually peeled off of that so aggressively. I believe they actually could have stayed on it and, just baited HK in just a little bit more. You now have Chen 9 fishing for a Frozen Tomb, though.
Oh, but that is going to be a cleanse coming out from Hollow alongside the Yumi. Maybe this collapse that Alpha may have gone a little too far forward. Moonblack finds himself another chain. Cardis on to the front line. Again, the knockup is there into the root, and they look to just take him down immediately. The Ignite is ticking. There it finally goes. Your River is going to be able to find the kill on Eminem now, stuck on the outside of the fight. In comes Chen, forcing out a flash. True Shot Barrage looking to cut on back. Moonblack, though, has to be careful himself. Your River, no kick available, so will not take the Q passage on Moonblack.
Wei Lun was getting mid-prio there, and that's where HKA were like, alright, let's pull the trigger, let's go for this. Chen 9 bites off a little bit more than he maybe could have chewed, but it pays out in the end. Alpha, they find the fight. Alpha, they find the big carry that we were identifying back in lane phase of Kartis, now that he's at 2 items. And Alpha, they cement themselves a lot of vision advantage and look for this Baron in the next couple of minutes, you have to imagine. That was a Mikhails from the Yumi. I like it, but it's on the Rek'Sai, who is not a champion right now, and it means your carries are just ripe for the picking.
Yeah, and unfortunately there, Kartis, he gets rooted non-stop, pretty similar to what we saw during the Dragon fight, and just enough damage to take him out. So unfortunately, that one person that was doing well for Hong Kong Attitude, well, if he keeps getting blown up during these fights, it doesn't really matter how far ahead he got. Because once you're in the gray screen, you can't really use any abilities, you can't do any damage, and you can't soak up any pressure.
Eminem was free casting on the side of that fight as well. And to his credit, he almost got your son, but Zhonya's on the Lissandra, a tanky Lee Sin to begin with, plus Ornn. 3 members of Alpha just shrug off the Ezreal poke. Yes, if you mildly inconvenience Wei Lun, the Aphelios can't go crazy, you'd imagine. Karma, again, an okay target as well. Okay, that was ambitious.
Hey, just getting a bit aggressive. Moonblack, gotta maybe calm down. Nonetheless,
okay.
Lots of pings coming out toward Baron.
Yeah, you see Chen 9 actually pushing out top wave, and that's because they need someone from HKA to answer that, so that they can just walk towards this Infernal Dragon Soul in 30 seconds time. Gonna get mid-prio as well, and that's all for securing this Drake in the next couple of seconds.
So now on the side of HKA, what are they trying to do here? Moonblack trying to get aggressive. Alpha's just saying, we don't really care about that dragon, we could always take it back if we wish, and there, they get a free shove into mid lane. What does Hong Kong Attitude wish to do? If they go for the dragon, they will lose the inhibitor. Hell, they might just lose it anyway, because that tower was taken so low originally by the second Rift Herald. And we get ourselves a pause.
Alright, that's fine. Gather your thoughts here, Opal. I think we're seeing the trade of that Drake, and we're going to see the inhib taken mid, and then we're going to see the Baron taken after that, you have to imagine.
So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe, HKA have a secret plan in the back of their heads. They're saying, all right, let's just kill everyone. That's the secret right there. Just got word it was a mic issue, so they are just doing a quick restart of one of the stage PCs, and then we'll be getting ourselves back into the action. Of course, this is our final game of Week 1 Alpha. Looking a lot more coordinated, looking a lot more like a roster that has played together versus, just coming together at the last second.
Yeah, Alpha, perhaps a dark horse for that top 4 berth that was kind of vacated by at least Bajaya and maybe even AHQ at this point, where we said, look, we have a couple of teams that made so many drastic changes that it's actually very, very difficult to place them in any power rankings at all.
Yeah, and for me, I was still very hesitant on where I wanted to put Alpha, but if they're going to be playing something like this, they could easily, like you mentioned, maybe make a crack toward the top 4. Again, this might be one of those things where it's an easy composition where it's say, all right, Chen 9, he gets an ultimate on someone, we kill him, and then we disengage. That might be the key where they just have to play something a little bit more simple and not try and go, way over the top with their compositions.
Yeah, big ease of execution there. You saw how easy it was to kill Moonblack time and time again in that mid lane. When he has no cleanse, you just lock him down with Lissandra, you hit him up with the Lee Sin Q into the Dragon's Rage, into one very, very dead LeBlanc.
Yeah, and you even mentioned it too, Moonblack. Questionable decision not to take cleanse into a Lissandra matchup, and well, he did get to show you. He did get an Ignite kill, at least at the very end of one of those early game team fights.
Bruce also got an Ignite kill when he took Ignite on Ezreal. Ooh.
Except the difference is Bruce went, what, 8, 1, and 7, and right now.
And that
Moonblack's-
one was the like level 1 death that was
Yeah.
kind of gonna haunt him for a while. So
Where he's like,
yeah,
I could have had
I'd say.
well, technically he still has like a 15 KDA, but he could have had like an infinite KDA because he wouldn't have. any
Honestly,
hits.
I'm looking at this game not really in parallel to that, but maybe in comparison, because we're seeing Ezreal Yumi, and it's not really done too much this game, and it's still just a heavy emphasis on the scaling. If HKA are going to pull this one back, it's going to be through Aatrox with the Yumi in his back pocket, just running rampant, and I don't think that we're going to see that unless the stars align completely for the side of HKA.
Yeah, there's a lot of necessary things that need to happen. Luckily, we are going to go back into the action. Of course, this is Alpha taking down the inhibitor. And it looks like in response, it was the Infernal Dragon taken, but now you lose a bunch of mid-prio on the next Dragon spawn.
Yeah, you're also going to lose a lot of prio around this Baron. Huge rotation from Alpha coming through. You have the 2 item spike for the Aphelios, so he shreds this. And yeah, this is going to be a pretty ambitious startup, though, as Alpha just look to use their Fog of War to get someone in the Frozen Tomb.
The thing is, though, it is a Rek'Sai, and boom, comes the True Shot Barrage, and they realize, oh, something's up, and start to realize, hey, they're actually sneaking their way. Moonblack, what are you doing? Goes way on over the wall trying to find the kill onto Wei Lun, but it is, of course, the Aphelios who will be able to heal right on back because he does have himself the red gun.
Yeah, the red plus green gun with the Runons means that if the Aphelios is ever chunked out, just walk to your Raptor camp, auto it twice, and you're back to 100% health. Could also recall and get some more items under your belt, because why not? Executioner's Calling in inventory means that this Yumi is even less of a factor.
And on top of that, too, it means Karthus trying to get his lifesteal back with, of course, that Death Stance pickup, as well as just the inherent life regen that you have on the Aatrox. Well, unfortunately, he isn't going to be able to do a whole lot if he's trying to frontline up against that Aphelios. So, more items coming on in, and it's now, again, I feel like the nail in the coffin is this Baron take, and whether or not HKA can find a Miracle Steal.
Alpha now just looking to position aggressively around this Baron pit. As we said, force someone to face check into you, lock them down, insta-kill them, and then, yeah, we said HK, they want to play 1-3-1, LeBlanc, Aatrox, they want to split push. So you remedy that just by forcing 5v5s around these hotly contested neutral objectives.
And you can see Alpha, they're just fishing for any member of HKA to step forward even close enough to that red buff, let alone the Baron pit. As they have engaged from across the screen with Bush on the Call of the Forge God, and Chen can, again, path where he needs to over walls with his claw to get within range of the ultimate. Bush looking for it, not going to find it, though.
This is actually really nice. This is a macro decision that has actually plagued a lot of even the top tier LCK teams, where they try and play 3 lanes at once. Instead, Alpha are just saying, look, let's focus on mid and top, and let's apply the pressure more consistently in these 2 lanes in particular. It's paying dividends right now as minions are crashing, pushing up mid, and they're claiming turrets and more vision advantage around that top side of the map.
And it gets to a point where, you know, somebody's going to have to make a play. Moonblack wants to press forward, and we are starting to see a little bit of a stall out here as Alpha keep trying to set up, you know, that death camp at the moment with the red buff, and boom, there it is. Hollow, he can't see because he's a Rek'Sai, and he gets taken down. There it goes. No jungle, likely an instant turn toward the Baron.
They are Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end of this Rek'Sai's life. Really clean pickup there, and it should be an equally as clean Baron power play to match.
Ooh, your son.
Oh.
Gotta be careful. Moonblack also going into the back line. He gets deleted, though, and your River can remain onto the Baron, but it looks like HKA still want to try and take this fight. Karthus on toward the top side. Wants to go into stasis. Can he actually get a kill? No, it won't happen because the Grievous Wounds is just too much, and Wei Lun gets another lockdown. Eminem having to kite back, looking for another Arcane Shift. He will find it with the cooldown reduction coming in from his Q lands, but again, Alpha turn right back toward the Baron.
You remember when we looked at this bot lane and we were like, alright, Aphelios, 200 years, meme champ, best champ in this region, best marksman in this region. I looked at Karma and I said, this is the most annoying support champion to ever have to play against because she's unkillable. She makes her team unkillable, she does everything, but can she secure this Baron for them? I don't know.
Again, HKA are able to draw enough attention away. The flash forward coming out. There's the shutdown. Wing gets taken down. It's another double kill onto the Aphelios, now 15-2. They turn back toward this Baron, likely now to secure it, or they're just going to see who else from HKA wants to check this.
Fortunately, Hollow is not a Trundle and does have Flash as well, so does have some ways to get into this pit without the need of the Blast Cone. Threat of a steal is still there, especially with Moonblack's LeBlanc burst, and this is a very, very good mid-jungle 2v2 for actually stealing out objectives.
Oh, Cardis, he popped the ultimate. He's going in onto the pit. Are they actually going to be able to steal it away? And it goes on over to the Aatrox. HKA are able to steal it. But that's now 2 members of HKA taken down once again. And Alpha, they played with their food for so long, it finally bit back, and they take the Baron.
Yeah, I really, really would have liked to have seen Alpha pull the trigger on that Baron just a little bit more aggressively. And it feels like they decide to commit at like the worst possible time. Why is your River out of the pit at that point? What? Like,
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. In the end, it's still an Infernal Soul. So Alpha, it's not the end of the world. They lost out on the Baron buff, but it does mean HKA, they'll have, you know, a little bit of life still within them for the next minute or two.
Yeah, just really, really going to go a long way towards delaying this finish from Alpha. And Alpha, yeah, they got the Infernal Soul, they lose the Baron. What can you do with the Baron when you're this far behind? Not too much, but it does give 1-3-1 opportunities to a LeBlanc and Aatrox who are sorely lacking in it. By the way, speaking of LeBlanc and Aatrox, 9 deaths between them. It feels like Kartus was doing insanely well for the early game, so I don't know where all of these have racked up from. But yeah, okay, I see it, and my heart hurts for you, solo laners of HKA.
Yeah, unfortunately. Still waiting on that, you know, big power spike that might ever come, and now you have to deal with the Infernal Soul, so you may have had poke on your side, and guess what now? Karma can do decent damage to you, even as a support, onto your squishy members of, say, Moonblack and M&M. Cardis, I just let that blue buff go. I don't think you need it. Oh, but Moonblack, he gets a nice little steal. At this point, I feel like Alpha's just messing about.
If my heart hurts for HKA, my brain hurts for Alpha, let me tell you that much at least. Really, really unimpressed with some of these objective decisions. I praise them for playing 2 lanes at a time. And yeah, it's happening again. I like it. You play bot, you play mid, you shove it out, you secure inhib, you get maybe some more pressure onto the bot inhib as well. No neutral objective to be found on the map right now, so just continue to apply the pressure. Maybe they'll be a little bit more forthcoming with it once this Baron buff does tick out in 45 seconds time for the side of HKA.
Well, there we go, Alpha now moving toward taking their 7th tower of the game. Moonblack is in top lane, so you know the LeBlanc that can do damage. Nowhere near the fight, and got interrupted by minions. It keeps trying to back, but the minions keep interrupting her. So now, without a teleport, oh, he's going to stay. So it looks like, you know, Alpha, they're like, all right,
without a teleport?
Base. Without teleport.
Without a cleanse? Without anything, really. But,
without anything but the Ignite. And you can't use Ignite when you're in a lane alone. And there you go, Inhibitor's taken down on the bot side of the map by Alpha, and they can transition, if they wish, over toward mid lane. Moonblack is going for a run behind them.
Holding the minions so they can't end. Okay, I get it. Maybe flank? Flank? Maybe?
Try and do something?
No.
Because Alpha, they're just like, cool. He didn't even clear the minions, so, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think we're being a little harsh, but I don't know. This decision-making here from HK is kind of questionable.
One big Karma disengage. And yeah, true. I don't know. Honestly, they're rapidly approaching a point, well, not really rapidly because it did take them 32 minutes to get to a point where maybe they can be competitive, but the gold is only 5k between. You have, you know, okay, nothing on the Yuumi, who is like your late game carry, but you do have 3 items for the Ez. You have LeBlanc finally completing her 2nd item as well, Rabadon's, it's a big purchase, it's nice. Rek'Sai, not really a champ, but Aatrox, Ezreal, kind of LeBlanc. These important champions are actually in an alright position to continue to push this one out.
You know who's also a champ, though? Is Aphelios. And Bush, too. having his ornaments come online for the rest of the squad, and even though it's a 5,000 gold lead difference, it kind of feels like it's close to 10,000 just by the amount of power this team has within the upgrades, as well as the Infernal Soul. And now looking at getting a triple inhib scenario thrown at them as HKA do absolutely nothing to stop this. The hook comes on back, and whoo! Have you ever seen a Rek'Sai get deleted from the Rift? Well, there you go. You get to see another one here today, as now Cardis forced to flash away to safety. Super Minion's going to start crashing in on toward the Nexus Towers, and HKA, they're trying to hold the base. But guess what? It's too late. It's 18-2. Gold lead don't matter. Alpha will be able to claim home victory after a disappointing start on day one. Moonblack, whoo! Get rid of him as well while you're at it. Going legendary is your River on the Lee Sin. Sure, there's a GA, but guess what? They'll just kill you once you come back out of Sathis. And there you go. Kartus gets taken down. Rampage from Bush. End of the game, 20-2 for Alpha.
Battle of the mid-jungle duos, and it is Lee Sin plus Lissandra that ring true past level 6. No cleanse on the LeBlanc, 3 kills to be had, and a lot of pressure being applied from the mid-jungle duo of Alpha. A triumphant return to bounce back to a 1-1 record.
Yeah, for HKA, we talked about, it looked like there was some good coordination. We were very hopeful, and early game, Karthus too had himself a good advantage in the side lane, but unfortunately, the rest of the squad was just so far behind that it doesn't matter if your Aatrox is, ahead by 40 CS. If he's going to get kited, if he's just going to get rooted and CC'd to death multiple times after another. It just doesn't pan out in the end, and that's going to be the victory going on over to Alpha.
And that was what I wanted to see from teams playing against the Ezreal Yuumi earlier in the day. Push them in, whether it's with the Karma support, whether it's with something else. Just continue to apply that pressure, threaten them, don't let them play the game, don't let them trade with you, don't let them scale, and punish them time and time again, which is exactly what Alpha did. They also punished Moonblack's lack of cleanse, and yeah. Chen 9, your River, were a pretty nice mid-jungle duo considering they looked a little bit lost past 15 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, and had a clear idea of what they needed to do with this team. You saw that early dive in toward the bot lane on the side of Alpha, bringing over that Lissandra, and just trying to punish that Yuumi Ezreal lane while it's still vulnerable, and got the Aphelios online. And at that point too, once you have the Lee Sin that's currently 7-0 and can instantly delete your LeBlanc, which for me too, Moonblack, he looked really good yesterday, but in this matchup in particular made the same mistake over and over. I think it was 3 times in mid lane where he tried to get aggressive with a distortion while Lissandra had her ultimate off, and then got deleted by the Lee Sin combo.
Yeah, Hollow and Moonblack, it really felt they were just... Okay, they were still a unit this game, but they were not doing well together, jointly. It felt like the Rek'Sai was just repeatedly trying to force plays mid, where there were no plays to be found, and that is just a consequence of the fact that this LeBlanc was giga useless, especially past level 6.
I like how, just horrible that sounds. Giga useless. Let's take a look at some of the fights, though. Back toward this dragon fight where it was Kartus. He said, I will finally join the team, and then Alpha said, oh, cool, you'll die.
Yeah, the immediate peel off from your River here was pretty well coordinated. They burst through the Aatrox before Yuumi can really sustain. And then, yeah, it's just full disengage. HK even split because they can't even think about turning this around. And while Alpha didn't really have any cooldowns to speak of, it's not like the side of HKA could really do anything to threaten this. The Drake almost gets stolen, but yeah, your River... Okay, I was unimpressed with his smites this game, by the way. When he pieced out of the Baron pit and just gave it away, that was really unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate is the soft term to use there. As
generous. Yeah, generous. I'm being generous in that regard.
Nonetheless, double kill going on over to your River, and from there, very close to a perfect game 2 coming out from Alpha, by the way. Only giving over the 2 kills and the 1 tower and 1 dragon. Of course.
And 1 Baron.
And 1 Baron. Okay, I forgot that they got the Baron steal in the end. It got to the point, though, where that Baron didn't even matter, and it was just used as a tool to force HKA to lose more members.
Yeah, and the implications that this has for the rest of the split, it being the final game of our week 1, really, I still don't know how to judge these teams because they're both posting 1-1 records and they've looked night and day in their performances on a game-to-game basis. So these are two teams that could either, contest for top 4 or could, lull towards the bottom of the pack that maybe a couple of our analysts had theorized them to be.
Now question goes on, who is going to be our MVP? It will be your River on the Lee Sin for Alpha.
That is a crazy KDA, actually. 8-0-9. I mean, some of that was just free kills mid, let's be real.
Yeah.
Lissandra spoon feeds you a free Q into our setup. But yeah, pretty happy with how that panned out. And really, really dominant debut for the jungler of Alpha after he showed a lot of promise yesterday that was never really capitalized upon. Okay, we ignore the Baron steal, by the way. I guess we glaze over that one.
And you also mentioned his smites weren't all that spectacular either. Yeah. So, small victories. It don't matter. You don't need objectives, I guess, when you just end the game. There's your secret right there.
True.
And speaking of Alpha, we are going to have an interview on over with Wei Lin, so we're going to send it on over to Patty, our translator.
看起来
很害羞。
对，那当然，第一个问题要跟你讨论一下，你之前其实是 PSG 的选手，那加入 ALF 的时候，正式踏上了这个职业的舞台哦。那目前队伍其实跟打野都不在台北跟你们一起比赛，那你个人是怎么跟队友练习或是配合的呢？
So last season you were PSG, but you were actually a sub. This week is actually your first week ever playing on stage as a pro gamer after you joined Alpha Esports. And your mid lane and your jungler are actually not in Taipei with you playing games. So how do you guys communicate with each other and practice together under this situation?
我们都是打团练磨合的。
Okay, so they do a lot of scrims, so that's how they practice together.
他们团练的方式其实就是代替的沟通，代替的磨合。
虽然有点距离，但只要有那个
团练不是距离
沟通，哎呀，
不错。
一句也没在沟通，还不是冠军了？
对，那当然，接下来的问题，毕竟你是正式踏上了职业舞台嘛，全新的队友、全新的队伍、全新的一个赛季，我想问你个人的目标，对于这一次你在这次夏季赛，你希望得到什么样的一个目标呢？
So in this season, with this new team and these new players with you, so do you have a goal for yourself and your team?
目标吗？前3。
So I wish that we can make the top 3 teams in PCS.
他其实就是说话说的非常少，但其实前3这个是一个很大的一个目标。
客气，对，
是客气吗？
我觉得蛮客气的。
前3呢？
前三
很久
很客气了啦。
那当然非常感谢伟伦，也再次的恭喜 ALF 拿下比赛哦，在今天最后一场比赛。
Well, a man of few words, to say the very least there, Wei Lun. That's, of course, it is his first week actually being at a Tier 1 league. He's a very young player, so maybe some nerves coming out there on the interview.
Maybe the next big thing, the next PCS of Helios, as it were. Looked pretty good. Let's be real. No crazy highlight play, but when the rest of your team is playing to the level necessary, then you don't really need the crazy highlight play.
Exactly. You know what? You can just be a little bit modest and say, you know what? My team carried me. I'm happy with that. You know, when your River's 8-0-9, I think it's pretty fair to say you kind of got a little bit carried. But, they're modest. They're saying, we want to get top 3. We're not expecting worlds just yet. We want to be able to at least compete with those top teams at the very least. And that is, of course, our final game of the day. So let's kind of give you a little bit of a recap of what all happened. Resurgence went up against Nova in our Battle of Singapore versus Thailand, and Nova was able to come ahead. A decent upset, though, in our second game, where AHQ did fall to J-Team. And Resurgence able to break the curse of what happened during spring and find their first victory up against Burjai.
PSG looking dominant as ever versus Liab. I don't think anyone expected that to go any other way. You've taken away the game, so
I didn't take away the games. All right, okay. Burjai lost. Okay. Another one, and that's why they 0-3 right now in the standings. Completely not where we expected this team after spring.
You've left me hanging out to dry here, Opal. But yeah, really unfortunate for Vijaya, who were, of course, our 4th place stalwarts heading into the end of spring. And actually, we had lofty expectations for them, especially in my regard, heading into summer. So this is really a bit troubling for that established lineup in particular.
And then you can also see there too, J-Team currently 2-0, kind of back up the standings. They've been kind of missing out on that, but as always, PSG looking very clean to start off their week after a successful spring split, as well as being the champions back in the midseason showdown. And if you guys are wanting more action from the PCS, well, next Saturday, we'll be beginning things off with HKA taking on Resurgence. HKA actually playing 2 games back there. I'm interested, though, if J-Team is going to be able to repeat the success we saw against AHQ up against now Machi trying to crack into the top 3.
Definitely, Machi did seem very fallible, especially when you look at their first game versus PSG in isolation, and J-Team have been looking really, really solid, all things considered. You also can look towards that Alpha HQ matchup to get a good feel for if Alpha can challenge that top 3 from Spring, and how the middle of the pack are really starting to shape up.
Yes, and of course, if you guys enjoyed any of the action, you can be sure to follow on the page that you're watching, whether that be on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. You guys can easily follow the pages, keep up with the PCS, as well as check out our English Twitter, LOL Esports PCS, where you guys get updates all for our English West crowd. Now, of course, if you guys enjoyed the show and you enjoyed myself and Abrizz's casting, you can be sure to also follow us over on Twitter, and as well as Riku, or using !casters in chat, so you guys can get quick and easy links to our personal social media pages, where we get to flame each other and say things that we're not allowed to say on the broadcast about each other. We're pretty nice on broadcast. Secretly,
Darn you, Opal.
Darn you kids coming in to my PCS. I don't know. I don't know what else there is.
I feel
Also,
welcomed anyway. Thank you.
we always like to try and share with the, as well as the English content that we do with the teams themselves. But for us, that is going to be the end of our broadcast. So thank you for tuning on in for the first week of the summer split of PCS, and we'll see you next time.